Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be installing a dual layer, a double shelf tailgate table by Mabett. Let's get it installed and check it out.
A big thank you to Mabett for providing the product for this video. This stainless steel tailgate table has a black powder coated finish. This product arrives fully disassembled. So you got the top shelf, the bottom shelf, the bottle opener, the Molle panel, cup holders, all the hardware. You just need to put it together yourself. Throughout the video you're going to see some numbers on the screen. Those relate to the numbers that are on the bags for the hardware. Hopefully that'll help you in conjunction with the instructions that are provided. To start with, you're going to open pack 18 and remove the 3 rubber grommets. With the small backing panel face up, you're going to push the rubber grommets into the holes that are already pre-drilled. Pause the video if you need to reference the numbers for the bolts and washers. I'll keep trying to highlight them as we go through. So you're going to take a bolt, put a nylon washer on, you're then going to put the retaining strap in, another nylon washer, and push it through the hole in the shelf. Then you're going to add the steel washer and the locking nut. Then go ahead and tighten it down, but don't tighten it all the way. You need that retaining strap to be able to move. Here I'm using a 10mm socket. And now you're going to repeat the process on the other side. Take the bolt, the nylon washer, the retaining strap, the other nylon washer, and push it through the hole in the side of the shelf. This one was a little tight and I did have to screw it into the hole. You'll add the steel washer and the locking nut. You can go ahead and tighten it down. Just make sure you don't tighten it too tight, as that retaining strap does need to be able to move. Next up, we're going to insert the right hand clasp. There are 2 small clasps and 1 large clasp in the middle. You put the 2 bolts in through the clasp, mount it to the shelf, then you put on the 2 washers and then the 2 retaining nuts. You can then go ahead and tighten these down all the way. You want this clasp nice and tight. Next we're going to install the center clasp. This is the larger of the 3 clasps. Again, you put the 2 bolts in, you mount it to the holes in the shelf, you add the 2 washers and then the locking nuts. These washers and nuts are really small, so they can be a bit fiddly when you're trying to put them together. And go ahead and tighten these down nice and tight. And then you can go and install the left-hand clasp. This is simply a repeat of the first clasp you put together. And this is what the clasp should look like once you've finished installing them. Next you're going to install the clasp on the leading edge of the upper shelf. The main difference here is there's a steel mounting pad that you need to attach to this as well. Then push it through the holes, attach the washers and then the retaining nuts. You want to tighten this clasp down real good too. And this is what it looks like when it's installed. Now you're going to attach the shelf to this small upper bracket. You're going to take your bolt, put a nylon washer on there, you're going to push it through the hole in the shelf, put another nylon washer in there, put it through the next hole in the shelf, and then put on the steel washer and then the retaining nut. And then you're going to tighten this all down. This is a 10mm socket. You'll then repeat this process on the other side. You're now going to mount the retaining strap to the holes on both sides of this shelf. And go ahead and tighten it down. Don't tighten it too much. You need that retaining strap to be able to move. Again, this is a 10mm socket. Repeat the process on the other side, and now you've got a fold down shelf for the upper portion of the tailgate finished. On the back side of this shelf, you're going to add a small piece of foam. This is going to protect your tailgate when it's mounted. Take your time and make sure it's securely on there. You're now going to mount the retaining strap that goes between the lower shelf and the upper shelf. This is going to mount to the upper shelf in the middle. This hole was a little tight, and I did have to screw the bolt in there. Tighten it down, but again, not too much. You need that retaining strap to be able to move. And do this on both sides. Next, you're going to take the shelf support and put the foam on the back of that as well. You're now going to mount the lower shelf to that shelf support. You take your bolt, you put a nylon washer on there, you push it through the hole in the shelf, add another nylon washer between the shelf and the bracket, and then you push it through the hole in the shelf, you put your stainless steel washer on there, and then your retaining nut. And you're going to tighten it down. Again, not too much, you need the shelf to be able to move up and down. And then go ahead and repeat it on the other side. Here you're going to mount the two retaining clips for the large lower shelf. This is done very similar to the ones that you did before. And go ahead and tighten this down good. Install the second clasp, and this is what they'll look like. Alright, so now we can finally mount it to the tailgate. I like to put some blue painter's tape down here to protect the edge from the pry tool. You're going to want to pry underneath this trim panel. There are 4 clips along the bottom, and then there are 4 J-shaped hooks on the top portion. Here you can see the clips, and then the J-shaped hooks on the top. You can remove the painter's tape now. You're going to take 4 of these smaller T-shaped brackets, put on a nylon washer, then the metal washer, and then the retaining nut. Don't tighten this all the way down. You're going to slide it into this slot, twist it 90 degrees and then slide it over to the left. When tightening it, it's handy to press against the bar that's behind this main mounting surface with something like an Allen wrench. It keeps it locked in that 90-degree position. This was an 8mm socket. Go ahead and do the same for the 3 other mounting bolts. Take the 2 larger T-shaped bolts, add a nylon washer, add a steel washer, and then the retaining nut. Again, don't tighten this all the way down, you need to be able to slide it in and move it to the right. When tightening it down, press against that T-bar with the Allen wrench. That will keep it at 90 degrees to the way it went in there. And repeat this on the other side. And now using the handle-shaped bracket, you're going to put it over those upper mounting bolts. Put on the retaining nuts and tighten it down. Here I'm using an 8mm socket. And do the same on the other side. Now you can mount the upper shelf panel. You're going to use a bolt, a locking washer, a steel washer, push it through the hole. Tighten it down good and then repeat for the other 3 bolts. And that is now the upper shelf mounted. Just check that everything works as it should do. Open and close the shelf, unlatch and latch the clasp. Now on the bottom edge of this shelf, you're going to add some rubber protection. And repeat this on the other side. And now you can mount the lower shelf. You've got to line up this panel with the 2 bolt holes. Insert the locking nuts and tighten them down. And to do this, I'm using a 10mm socket. Now you're going to mount the retaining strap to each side of this lower shelf. This routine should be nice and familiar to you now. Tighten it down, but again, not too much. That retaining strap needs to be able to move. Again, using a 10mm socket. And do the same on the other side. You're now going to push on the large Molle panel into the bottom of the shelf and attach it with 10 bolts. It only goes on one way, so you shouldn't have any issues at all. And then screw in the 10 bolts. The bolts go all the way around the perimeter of the lower shelf. And here you have the finished product. The dual layer tailgate table is complete. It's really nice and strong. It looks good, it's very sturdy. It's got those integrated cup holders, it's got a bottle opener, it's got the Molle panel integrated as well. Really nice product. And this is what it looks like unlocking and locking the table. and this Molle panel is really nice and sturdy.
Well, there you go, it's finally installed. But this was a lot more laborious of an installation than I was expecting. You do actually have to put the whole tailgate table together. All the clasps, the clips, the hinges, everything you have to put together. And in the end, you do get a fantastic tailgate table. I really do like this one. It's nice, strong, sturdy, and best of all, it doesn't make a noise. We went on a road trip yesterday to go meet some other Bronco owners, and it was silent the whole time. It was fantastic. The two shelves are really handy. You've got a Molle panel on the back of it, you've got cup holders, you've even got a bottle opener there if you need it. It's really handy and convenient, it folds away nicely, and it just doesn't make a noise. Really impressed with how this is looking. There's a link to this product in the video description. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, maybe subscribe, and I'll catch you next time.